Every time we do a Saturday to Monday episode, I feel like nothing happened. Usually, right? Like we usually
Um,
record Saturday during the day and then Monday evening, give or take. And it usually feels like nothing happened.
we
Right?
sometimes hit Friday night, but even still on the
Yeah.
Friday
But
nights,
like
it's been somewhat uneventful. We
you
hit big
seem
news on a Monday, but we
Mhm.
don't hit many big points on a Friday to
No.
Saturday. No.
No. So this time we got lots to talk about. I was not expecting the NHL playoffs to start this fast and this ferociously over the course of the weekend. And not to mention the Vancouver game, which was clearly the biggest game of the
Jesus,
night.
somehow the relegation game just takes
It,
over.
the worst game of the day was actually a really
Yeah.
good game, but nobody watched it. It's kind of funny. I don't even know where to start. We might as well start with the first game that happened in Washington, Boston, because it was entertaining. And it got off to a quick start. Alex Ovechkin decided he's a freight train on skates and just ran over. I don't even remember who it was, but just put everything he had into a hit. He hit his own guy at one point, too. Like he was just trying to murder everything on the ice. They got out to a hot start. They scored the first goal, I believe, right? And then Boston came
Mhm.
back quick, and it was just back and
Tom
all game
Tom
long.
Wilson scored the
Tom
first goal.
fucking Wilson, the guy that shouldn't even have been in the game, scored the first
I
goal.
think that everybody knew that that was going to
Oh,
be who
for
scored
sure.
the first goal. There was
For
not a
sure.
doubt in anybody's mind that no, it was not Alexander Ovechkin. It was not going to be Nicholas Backstrom or
No.
TJ Oshie. It was going to be Tom
It
Wilson to
had to be
pot the
the guy
first.
that shouldn't even be playing that game. Yep. Of course it was.
Phenomenal.
Now, we were split on who we thought to win that series. I don't think our mindset's going to change after that one because it was so tight the whole game.
I think the most incredible thing for me was Craig Anderson had to come into that game and just held it down,
Early,
Yeah,
early too.
early.
Like it was
This
after the first goal for Boston. Craig Anderson had to come in with that. I don't think he played this year, did he? I could be wrong.
he might I think he played a bit because Henrik Lundqvist has been out
Yeah,
for quite
but
a
they
while, and I
had.
know that they got him.
Is it Vanacek that they have? I keep screwing this up.
Yeah, Vanacek, but he was injured.
And then they had
Now
what's his name? The rookie kid that they were supposed to have all year. I can't
Samson,
remember.
no,
Samsonov, thank you.
Yeah, Samson.
So they had the two of them. So I don't. He
But
might have got
Craig,
into
I remember
games.
them. Yeah, I'm not a huge Washington follower, but I imagine that he would be into games.
Let's take a check. He
But even
played
still, like
games.
Craig Anderson
Four
had,
games this year.
yeah, but Craig Anderson had no business
Absolutely
keeping
not.
that
There was
close.
no chance in his mind did he think he was getting into a game after that season ended. He's like, well,
Yeah,
I'm done. I'm going to sit up in the stands. And then Samsonov gets hurt, and you're like, well, I'll just sit on the bench for the whole run.
and you let in a power play goal, so 5-on-5, you
Yeah.
put your team in it, which
He
was
was
good for
great.
them.
He was
Yeah.
fantastic. He did a great job. He
Mhm.
held it down. He pushed the net back on one play, which was really awkward looking.
I think
Couldn't
he
really
fell.
hold his balance.
Did he
He kind of
fall?
like stumbled into
Yeah.
hit the net type of thing. It was kind of entertaining to watch, but he was great, and like the team was good with him. Boston kind of struggled at times to get anything going, but then they would just pop off for a second and score a goal. And they were the first of many to go to overtime. And in overtime, it sucked that the puck got tipped because TJ Oshie could have won it, but unfortunately, it went off of I think it was Nick Dowd or something, wasn't it?
Yep, Nick Dowd.
It would have been really cool to see TJ Oshie get it. Just like I'm really rooting for TJ Oshie, not necessarily the Capitals because I don't really like the Capitals, but I'm rooting for TJ Oshie just for everything he's been through, and I'd love to see him do this for his dad and all that. Obviously that wasn't the storyline. Whatever. Good game. It's not changing my mind on this series. I still think it's Washington, and I think I said 7, right? 6 or 7. It's going to be a really good series. It's tight. The whole game was tight. The series is going to be tight. There's no way around that.
Yeah, it looked pretty hot from the start,
Mm-hmm.
and those teams are not afraid of each other either, which is incredible, and that's what you love to see, right? And I feel like it was always, how many times was Boston close to being the team that went over as the wild card to go play a Washington, but never did, and now it's just it's also cool too because Chara is seeing a team that he spent a lot of his career with.
There were lots of complaints from Bruins fans about Zdeno Chara.
Right.
Like this is
what
justice.
you had him for,
This
though,
is
right?
justice.
This is why he was always on your team because you didn't want him doing
single year he did this
Yes.
stuff, and now you get to see what it's like on the other
Exactly.
side.
Exactly. So
Not
you can't
fun.
cry. You
Not
can't cry
fun at
about it
all.
now. You know
No.
what? Because now you're facing it. So I think that this series has just started too.
Oh yeah.
I think that games are going to be as close as this game was. Games are going to be like even closer.
Mhm.
Like, just it was. I'm glad it went to overtime. I'm glad the next
Great game.
three
Great
went
game.
to overtime.
It didn't make me feel very confident about saying Boston's going to get wiped out. They played well enough that I think they have a chance to win a few games in this series, and I think it's going to be a good series. Obviously, Ovechkin started out physical, and then they had Boston wanted nothing to do with that and started abusing him a little bit too. So they weren't afraid to hit the big name guys too. So it was kind of fun in that aspect.
I think that's why they value Nick Ritchie so much in this game, and they value what Curtis Lazar has brought to this team, because they know that they're not going to be afraid of these big names, right? As you're saying, like Alex Ovechkin is probably one of the hardest hitters in the NHL.
Dude,
if you
that
look
hit
at
he threw was ridiculous.
Right, he is capable of just even with no speed. If he's at a dead stop, he can still cause you injury because he's just so solid.
He's a strong man. Like,
exactly.
He's no pushover.
It takes a lot of balls to just go up there and say, you know what, he doesn't scare me, and that's.
I believe, don't quote me on this, it was Jeremy Lozon that hit Ovechkin behind the net and was kind of abusing him, right?
Believe so, yeah. There was a lot of slashes, I remember. Or
yeah,
it was I remember that.
It was a rough go.
Rough.
Lozon is actually out for game 2. I don't know if that's an injury thing or they're just making a change, but Lozon is now out. So I guess Ovechkin can skate freely. Sure. The one storyline I kind of want to touch on a little bit, I would say the game breaker of this series and like determining how this series goes is Taylor Hall and if he can show up and actually be that secondary scoring for the Bruins. And in game 1, he was pretty irrelevant.
He was -2.
-2, no points, did not do anything productive whatsoever. Obviously, that could just be an off game. But if Washington can manage to continue shutting him down, Boston's going to have a tough time scoring because they've shown that they can kind of limit that first line. Lots of teams can do it. They can limit that really good line that they have. But if you're limiting Taylor Hall, where that's kind of your main source of secondary scoring, it's going to be really tough for Boston because you're now relying on guys like Jake DeBrusk to come in and do what he did every single game.
They've definitely put a lot of, eggs in the Hall basket, especially for a team that hasn't had him for as many games as I'm sure they would have liked, right? Like he's not really he's in the system, but he's definitely not completely.
He's not well versed enough. Like he wasn't there that long,
right? So I just think that Boston but they're also capable. Charlie Coyle is definitely capable of showing you some playoff magic, and it just depends on
even
what
Jake
Boston
DeBrusk,
team,
like as much as
absolutely, and him scoring to start right. To get that team going.
This strange ability to turn it on in the playoffs that
he just locates the puck a lot better, He's that motivation kicks in, and I think that just shows you like what the potential that Jake DeBrusk could be in the league if he just played that way every single day.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because how many times could he like that goal? He's right in the right spot. Doing the right things,
There's another guy I'll get to later that I kind of have the same thought process about, but they look like completely different players in the playoffs. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's where you make your money. I understand that. So, it's about how you're finishing, especially when you're on a team who makes it consistently to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
they go tonight in about an hour and 20 minutes, I believe it is. The game's at 7, right?
7:30. 7:30 our time.
I doubt this episode is out by then, so you'll probably know the outcome of the game before we release this. And everything we just said is going to sound really stupid, but whatever. Here we go. Next game of the weekend came out of Pittsburgh and New York, which I was expecting to be a real low shot affair, but I expected the series to be stupid tight. And it was stupid tight. It was close. I never had a clue who was going to win that game at any point in time. But it was not a low shot affair. At one point, there was 12 minutes left in the second period, and I tweeted out, I'm like, Pittsburgh has 24 shots, and they're not even halfway through the game right now. Like, I don't know where this defensive masterpiece of a team went, but it ain't the New York Islanders in this series, apparently. They forgot how to limit shots.
Good job, New York, for just sticking shot for shot with them. They weren't afraid at all of the Pittsburgh Penguins and them being first place.
No.
It was incredible.
It was a great game, honestly.
And
it was
especially to not have Varlamov, like, in the net.
Just before the game, you just like Varlamov can't play. Malkin can't play. That was another big one. Like both sides are getting hit pretty hard, and you're like, well, shit. And Pittsburgh showed that, it would help to have Malkin, but they still have depth scoring around him. And the Islanders showed they really don't need Varlamov. Like they have a good goalie in Sorokin behind him.
I think the Islanders felt this urgency too, right? When you lose your starting goalie, you kind of understand that the best defense
gotta
is
go.
staying in their end, and that's it, right? They're getting a lot of shots for sure because now your system is breaking down, but you're also afraid that if it's now 3 goals on 25 shots and you're only getting 1 to 2 goals, it's not going to be even close, right? So I think that's where they kind of just stepped up the urgency and said, we're going to shoot with them and see if we can hang with them. And they definitely did.
Yeah. Kyle Palmieri nets the overtime winner in that one. And it's really funny because the only thing I said about this series, too, was that I don't think Kyle Palmieri is the guy that can be your scoring depth. Yeah, shove that right down my throat. Jesus
that's why we do this, to motivate these players. You know, that just lets us know that you guys are listening.
I have such a nice list of stupid things we said that I could just pull up that were already wrong in game one. But there's a lot that we said that were right. So I'm not.
I think at the end of the year, we should definitely look at that.
I think just for the playoffs alone, we have a solid chunk of things that we have said already that have not come true. What else did I have in that game? Nothing really. Without Malkin, I'm a little worried for Pittsburgh.
It hurts your depth. Yeah. It hurts your leadership as well.
Yeah. On the flip side, though, it seems like every time they lose Malkin or Crosby, that's when they win a cup. So this could be a blessing in disguise. Just like, I don't know why, but they just end up doing better when one of those two are out.
How many times can you go back to that well? Come on.
Yeah, I feel like you can only catch lightning in a bottle so many times before it stops working for you. Obviously, if you're Pittsburgh, you'd like to have Malkin back. Hopefully, he can get back some point soon in the series just to make it more of a series, I guess.
I mean, I think you're still getting a good series. I just now, I'm not expecting Pittsburgh to – they could steal it in 7, but they're not going to absolutely just –
It's going to be a good series.
It's almost going to be more of a shock if you see Pittsburgh go through and they did it without Evgeny Malkin.
There was no point where I'm like, this team grabbed the game, because even when it was Brock Nelson that scored the go-ahead goal late, right? I believe.
At 15:50.
Yeah, and then 30 seconds later, Kasperi Kapanen comes in and ties it right back up. Like, there wasn't really a point where I'm like, they're going to walk away with this one. Like, it was tight all game long, and it was close. And without Malkin, it's going to be tough for Pittsburgh to just like tilt the scales in their favor.
And typical Crosby, just walk into first game and say, I'm going to do a Crosby thing.
One-handed tip, like just disgusting hand-eye. So, no other human being in the world is doing that. Great move. That's going to be the difference maker for them, is they own a man named Sidney Crosby.
And it depends on the amount that he can take over, the amount that he's actually willing to as well. Because you're like you said, like, he's a difference maker. He's going to be the guy that, it's like when LeBron James just says, I'm going to take over this game. Sidney Crosby kind of has to do the same thing and do it the way that he does. Yeah, not saying put in 5 goals, but
no, but just be Sidney Crosby all over the
point per game guy, or 2 point per game.
Shut him down on the back end.
1.5. Yeah, sort of exactly.
Yeah. The next game in line, I told you, man, Minnesota. Pulling the OT win on Vegas. Look,
1-0 OT win.
Nuts. Vegas is the better team in this series, and Vegas was the better team in the game, and Vegas is just the better team. However, Vegas cannot find a way to beat Minnesota this year. I don't know what it is. Even when they outplay them, they can't win, and they outshot them heavily. They outplayed them for 98% of the game. Flower stood on his head and made some of the biggest saves we've already seen in the playoffs, and it was unbelievable.
Dude, he stopped Double K right in front of the net, just like the way that Marc-Andre Fleury does.
He robbed Hartman a bunch of times too.
That goal too, you feel so bad, because I honestly think that as great of a shot as it is, if it doesn't hit Martinez in the skate, Marc-Andre Fleury makes another save.
Yeah,
right. He makes another save, and that's the heartbreaker of it.
Yeah, it's so tough. Fleury looked like Marc-Andre Fleury, like vintage Marc-Andre Fleury, just keeping his team in the game, making the big save when he has to. Minnesota Go ahead.
I think having 2 goalies puts that fire under your ass. Yeah, knowing that your leash is short. I think this is still a loss, though, that you go in saying second game is yours, and that's exactly what you needed, right? Like, your leash is short. So if you're going to lose, you're going to lose 1-0 in overtime, where it bounces off the skate of your own player, and you're not in position anymore.
It wasn't too big a deal that you got scored on. However, just mental side of things, you're looking at this like, we have lost to Minnesota 8 times of the 10 that we've played them. Like, what more do we have to do? Like, they outplay them so much, and they can't find a way to win, because for some reason Cam Martin Brodeur Talbot is in the other end, just bringing back the season that he had in Edmonton when he brought them on that
This
run.
is
Where?
not, but it's not achievable for a long
No
period
way.
of time.
But he's doing
shots, 42 shots. If you're telling me that every game is going to go 1-0 overtime to Minnesota, there's no chance.
It's insane, man. I
predict, okay, what is it? Do they play tonight or tomorrow? Because it's going to be a 5-1 Vegas win. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
You can book it here first because when it happens.
When we went, if I go back and check, I think we both took Vegas, but I took them in 7. Because I think Minnesota could win this series, and I did one of those NHL
6.
I did one of the NHL bracket challenges. I took Minnesota because they have a chance in this series, and I said it before. This is the one upset I wouldn't be surprised to see, just because they've dominated them. They have 2 wins all year against them.
Okay, so then can you truly call that an upset then? If you already have the statistical data,
I don't know. Technically,
there's truly one series in this whole playoffs that's going to be an upset. And that's Carolina and Nashville. That's it.
That's the only upset where it's just like Carolina's beat Nashville all year long. They're a higher seed. Like that would be the only true upset.
People could argue Toronto, Montreal. Okay, this is what I'm saying though. But then everybody will say the same old thing, and it's because Carey Price did Carey Price things. He turned back the Marc-Andre Fleury claw.
If you're not a Toronto fan, you're sitting here going, oh, well, they suck in the playoffs. So then it's kind of like, well, is it really an upset if they're just this terrible playoff team to you? So
every Montreal fan right now is hiding.
Confident.
They are not willing to bet. No, they're not. They're showing you maybe that they're puffing out their chest.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we can do
maybe
this.
Not confident, but cocky.
Go ask them to bet something. They'll run. Yeah. They're not going to bet against the Leafs.
No. But that would be a big upset if Montreal
right.
wins that. But I would be I would be more surprised of any bottom seed losing or winning than Minnesota.
If Minnesota comes out of this series, I got to get a jersey because that just is ridiculous.
Those yellow and green North Stars jerseys are my
totally
second favorite reverse retros. I love those.
Totally in for that because it's incredible what they do.
I don't know. I'm assuming a lot of teams aren't keeping the reverse retros going forward.
Just who do they have? They don't have anybody.
Kaprizov.
That's it.
Suter.
Kaprizov. Okay. Awesome.
Joel Eriksson Ek, dude, has been
who just happened to be in the right place. Did you see Foligno? Did you see Foligno fan on it first or tip it to him?
For sure. But Joel Eriksson Ek's been so good for that team, offensively, defensively, he's just shown up.
Yeah.
And apparently Cam Talbot's a Vezina candidate now.
For the playoffs, for sure. He's actually going to be MVP for the whole playoffs.
Yep. The Conn Smythe, right? That's the trophy.
Yeah.
Good game. 1-0. There's no way in hell the rest of the series is like that, but it just seems like Minnesota has this weird mental edge over Vegas right now, and I'd be concerned if I'm a Vegas fan.
Do you think Vegas is all that? I don't think that the important parts of Vegas are scared. I don't think that the heart and soul of that team are scared. But they're not.
Just seems like at this
they're
point,
more talented. You're going to look at this roster 8 billion times and just go, we are way more talented than what is happening here.
It's kind of human nature, though. Have you ever done something you keep trying at it and you keep trying at it and you just don't get it for whatever you're doing?
This is hockey. You're going to figure it out.
The 13th try, you're like, what the hell am I doing wrong?
I think that it's incredible that they figured it out to at least have a 1-0 and a bounce-in goal. Realistically, Marc-Andre Fleury
still down 1-0 in the series.
I understand that. This is a good game to lose if you're going to lose one. They're going to.
It's scary. They will. I'm not saying they won't.
But if Cam Talbot continues this, it'll be his jersey that I'm probably getting because that's just
shuts him out for 4 games.
Yeah.
This is really reminiscent of Vegas's run against LA in that first Stanley Cup run they had where Jonathan Quick had a 950 save percentage.
Right. He was just phenomenal.
But Vegas won because Fleury had the 970 save percentage in the series. But it could be the other way. Fleury puts up a 960, but Cam Talbot's out here with a 980 and winning the series.
I mean, yeah, just you're going to get the best Fleury every night because he knows what's at stake. And if you put me, Fleury versus Talbot, best versus best, everybody knows who you're choosing.
Mm-hmm.
So
for sure, experience helps too. As a goalie,
3 cups helps.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing to have.
Not a bad resume.
It's not bad when your backup goalie is a top 5 goalie in the NHL too. But whatever.
They will take it.
The final game was the most ridiculous game of the weekend. Florida Tampa. Everyone's hyping it up like it was the best game of the year. I fucking hated this game. Hated it.
I
Like
thought it was nice to see a rivalry from two places that really don't care about hockey.
I don't
you know,
understand where the intense like anger towards each other came.
you know,
Because like nothing even happened yet, and they were already fighting like 2 minutes into the game. I'm like,
you know
what
what
is
I
going
feel
on?
like? I feel like Florida's kind of always felt like the little sibling
Sure.
almost
That's a
of
good
Tampa
point.
Bay, and just Tampa Bay. Think about this. This is not Tampa Bay was not their last cup, or sorry, their first cup last year,
Mhm.
right? They had won a cup previous before that. They had known success. They brought in
Yeah, they're
huge
good.
names,
They've
right?
been good, but
Right, and Florida's just always kind of been there.
mhm.
And never as good and never
No
the
fans.
same respect. Yeah. And now Florida comes in as a top seed, and yet everybody picked Tampa to take that series. So I understand why
Yeah.
Florida comes in with this edge and says, look, we're going to take it right to you. And sure enough, they did for the majority of that game.
Mm-hmm.
And then Braden Point decided that he wanted the last 5 minutes to himself.
Mm-hmm.
Good for him.
Great. That was the other guy I want to mention in comparison to who was it earlier I was talking? Oh, Jake DeBrusk. Because Braden Point, he's good. He's above average in the regular season. But
In the
playoff
playoffs.
Braden Point is, oh my God. That guy is just ridiculous.
Do you know why Tampa Bay didn't miss Steven Stamkos last year? Because Braden Point decided he was your Steven Stamkos.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yes. He's another level in the playoffs, and it's a joke. I hate it. It's great.
If you watch him for that last, like when he's on the ice, maybe it wasn't last 5, but last like 6, 7, whatever, like his last couple of shifts, it was almost evident that he was getting a goal. Like it just a matter of time that it was either then or it was in overtime. Like, cause he had already got
game
one
to win.
He got one on the power play, and then it was just like he wants another one, and he wants it 5-on-5.
I believe in our last podcast you said Kucherov was gonna get, was it 3 points or 3 goals?
I don't know, but
because if it was 3 points, you nailed it. But if
I think I said 3 goals,
you were close.
We're gonna check it back, but even still, the fact that my 3 was buzzing.
Good guess, very good guess.
Now you made a point.
It's very evident that motherfucker wasn't hurt.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No. They pulled the Freddie. Can I just say that? They pulled the Freddie.
I've seen a lot of people like, oh, well, Toronto this and Toronto that. Freddie was legitimately hurt.
Hey, is he injured? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, guess what? He's still injured. That was it. That was the extent of the in-depth injury analysis. Sure. Is he injured? Yeah. Okay.
Fine.
He's
but
cool.
Like, we're talking about a guy that makes $9.5 million. Tampa Bay is $17 million over the cap in the playoffs right now. $17 million. It's $9 million more than the next closest team, which is St. Louis.
Is that because playoffs doesn't matter?
There's no cap.
Oh my
Toronto
God.
is like 11th on the list in teams that are over the cap for the playoffs. It's ridiculous. I'm like, I don't know why people are just like, well, Toronto, like, fuck that. Like, this team is night and day more over the cap than any other team. Excuse me, any other team in the league. Like, it's ridiculous.
He is banging microphones.
I'm angry. It's just like, I hate it. I hate that they did this. I understand other teams circumvent the cap, but not with the best player on your team. And not coming back game 1 fully healthy, ready to go after practicing for 2.5 months, who comes out there, scores 2 one-timer goals in the power play and a gorgeous pass. That the pass I give him lots of credit for. The 2 goals were like, okay, you just tapped in a one-timer. But the pass was ridiculous. It was a great play.
You know what the better pass, though?
Who?
Jonathan Huberdeau.
Who?
When he decided
to tip it?
Oh.
Great play. That team is good, man.
God.
They're really fun to watch.
They're not going away, and I think that we even said that. Like, I don't remember exactly what we had said for our picks, but the 6-7 is because we know.
I said Florida in 6, but
right, but we know that these games are going to be so close, and like if you get to 3 games, it's really tough to get if you lose 3 games, it's really tough to then win and get out of that series. So that's why it's 6 or 7, but those are the most conservative picks out of them, right? Like.
No clue.
No, they're not. They're not
so
big
tight.
picks, right?
Now,
they're not.
There were 2 things I absolutely hated in this game.
Okay.
First and foremost, the fucking Rats is the dumbest tradition I have ever seen. Like, I understand the story behind it, and like, okay, fine. That was like 20 years ago. Give it a rest. Like, who cares? Like, why are we throwing rats for every single thing that happens? Like, I would be annoyed as the home team to be sitting here and like getting my game delayed anytime something happens. It wasn't even just goals. Like, they called off that goal. We're going to talk about that too. I forgot. They call off that goal and they're throwing rats. It's like, why, man? Like, this is so stupid. It's ridiculous. Second thing, I know people say playoff hockey's tougher. There's harder hits. Fine. And everyone's looking at that game like, oh, playoff hockey. That was the worst fucking experience of like watching hockey just because you couldn't do a damn thing. Every single whistle, there were idiots punching each other in the face. It cost so many scoring opportunities. It's like, if that's how you're going to play, you're going to lose because you can't give up 40 shots a night and expect to win because you want to be rough and tough and be Mikhail Sergachev pretending you're tough. Like, it's not a thing. And it's just, there's playoff hockey, and then there's whatever the hell that was last night, and that is like a step past and just seemed like legitimate hate from both teams. That's not what playoff hockey is.
They're trying to build a rivalry that's really new to them. And I think they, that's what they're doing, and that they know, the same thing that we know, that playoffs, absolutely, the whistles are a bit away. So
sure, you couldn't breathe in that game without getting punched.
No, but that's the thing is
ridiculous.
Is that the refs are trying to maintain and well, I guess not maintain. They're trying to establish some sort of
what they were trying to do.
Yeah, they're trying to establish some sort of dominance in a game that it's like for me, the refs are there as almost like a secondary thing. Like if it gets completely out of hand, I get it.
Sure.
If not, though, these guys, like, you're adults. You get in there. I wouldn't stop a UFC fighter from getting in the cage because, he might get completely knocked out.
Sure.
If they want to go for that, and then they can go for that. And then they can sit in the box the same way it's supposed to do. And if you want to have 10 guys sitting in the box, you have 10 guys.
They made a shit ton of calls.
Yes, they're making tons of calls.
So many 4-on-4s that I'm like, this is getting ridiculous.
The calls are a little ridiculous, like that in that sense. Like,
and then it led to, I think the first thing was McDonough's boarding on Duclair. I think that was dirty. I think it was the dirtiest hit of the night. It's getting no supplemental discipline, which is hilarious. They were debating whether or not that would be a 2 or 5. And, like, you get that hit. Sure. That sucked. That was ugly. And then DeBrusque is or not DeBrusque. Who the hell was it throwing the hit that afterwards? On the Panther. Was it Verhaeghe that hits? I don't know. There was another dirty hit. And then Sam Bennett throws that one in the corner.
Who has now gotten a game.
Bennett is now suspended 1 game for it.
Yeah.
For starters, I don't think it's fair that Sam Bennett is the only suspension that comes out of this series. I think that was a joke. I think there should at least be 2, maybe 3, depending on whether or not you want to take a look at some other ones. The McDonough hit was worse than the Sam Bennett hit, without a doubt in my mind. Just so happened that the Sam Bennett hit was a bit more of a retaliation than the McDonough one that started it, and I think that's why he's suspended today. That's I don't like it.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunately like, the first one's missed. So you are definitely
it wasn't even missed. They called a penalty.
Yeah, but I meant missed in the sense of how serious it is, right? Like you were saying, like if that's going to set the bar as, that's not too much, then okay, what's the next one? And you're unfortunately going to have to test it. And yeah, like you're saying, like they missed one, so then they kind of have to make one up too.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's not as vicious, but it's still one of those borderline ones that now they're going to call because everybody in that arena and everybody watching at home has just said you've missed this one.
Yep.
So you don't want to miss 2.
No.
Right?
Now,
it sucks.
The Leaf fan in me comes out a little bit because you look at that Sam Bennett play and yeah, okay, it's suspendable. He got 1 game. Nazem Kadri got 3 to 5 for a very similar hit back 2 years ago. And I'm like, look, if you're going to call this stupid bullshit suspension, then give him something that actually matters. What is a 1-gamer?
Nazem Kadri, if I'm pretty sure, had more of a history.
So does Sam Bennett, I think.
But more of a history, I think.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think Sam Bennett's the cleanest.
As well as the NHL just watched Sam Bennett get robbed on the ice. Mm-hmm. So do you really want to just like take everybody's, take him for everything he's got right then and there, or you want to just say, look, man, I already know you're down because that probably shouldn't have not been your goal. But at the same time, here's a game. Going to take you out of a game. If you go down 2-0 against Tampa, I think that's it. I don't think that you are relevant in this series again.
Yeah. I think I don't think you give him a suspension, but if you're going to do it, make it an actual suspension that fits the crime. Like, why is that a 1 game? Like, if you actually want to pretend like you're about player safety, then
what did he get on the play?
Suspension.
Did he not just get like
2 minutes for charging?
Right. So at that point, like you can't, if you don't get 5 in a game, then
it's tough. I know.
Yeah. Just, you let Tom Wilson walk away with $5,000. Come on.
You're telling me that was a fine and this is one playoff. I don't get it. It makes no sense to me. There's zero consistency out of the players. It's not even player safety. It's the suspension department. There's zero consistency out of the suspension department.
They just throw it at a dartboard, you know?
Yep.
You got like a dartboard up there.
It's like a wheel that they spin, and they're like, tick, 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 fine. Tick, 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 nothing. Tick, 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 one game.
Right. Yeah, there you go.
It's just ridiculous. There was a baby storyline in that game. The first goal that should have been the first goal was the play on the power play for the Panthers that they waved off because they ruled that Vasilevsky was pushed into the net and that hindered his ability to make the save. I agree. I think I'm in the minority, but I agree. Like Sam Bennett, he's clearly on the post, and Sam Bennett clearly pushes his pad with the stick. You're not allowed to do that. And it opens up the lane where the puck is able to slide in. And by the rule, he hindered his ability to make the save. And he was in the crease. Everything was there, regardless of whether he did it. If he does that with his foot and pushes, Vasil out of the net, it's not a conversation because it's clearly goaltender interference. But because he did it with a stick, people are like, oh, it's a part of the play. And, it's not. You missed the puck. You got the goalie. You pushed him out of the way, plain and simple. That's the only reason that goal went in the net.
So you're telling me Vasilevsky, with all of his might, was able to be spun around like one of those lazy
He's on his
Susans.
knees.
Dude, he's pushing all of his effort down. He shouldn't have been spun that easily.
Down, not against the post. You can't hold yourself like that.
You should be holding the post at that point. I don't think that I think he saw and recognized the play and was able to embellish enough to get a turn.
Whether he embellished it or not, it's very
Sam Bennett
clear
does
that
not know
Bennett
where that puck is. Sam Bennett is just chopping away at the puck.
He has no idea, but he's just chopping around.
He's chopping around.
But
exactly.
Unfortunately, he pushes the pad out of the way, and the puck goes in the net.
We have seen way worse count for way more.
Maybe
in a game.
By rule, that was the right call to make. And if they take it to review and you watch it at every angle, you see Bennett push the pad out of the way.
I think you need to bring it to the suspension department then and let them make the decision because that's a goal.
Let them spin their wheel and see what happens. No, to me, he pushed him out of the way. It's very clear on the replay that his stick goes in the pad and forward. And as it's doing that, his pad slides out of the way, and that's when the puck slides in.
I'm not confident Vasilevsky is, not.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether
not living this one up.
Doesn't matter whether he embellishes it or not. It's very clear that he pushes his pad. That's all that matters.
There's no way Sam Bennett is fully responsible for that.
Pretty strong. But what
he is a strong dude.
What is holding Vasilevsky there? He
didn't
on
push
both
him that
knees.
hard. I'm watching it. He doesn't push him that hard.
It doesn't take much. You're on your knees. All you got to do is twist it a bit and you're sliding.
It's bad. But I understand why you think it's good. I
understand
why you think it's good, but it's bad. It sets a very bad taste in your mouth for the remainder of this.
You hate it if you're a Florida Panthers fan, and I get that because Tampa comes down and scores right away. But it was the right call on the play, and as long as they got the call right, you can't complain about it.
I am, and a lot of people are because it's bad.
Fine, but it was the right call. And as long as you can complain all you want, but as long as you accept that it was the right call, then there's nothing you can do about it. We don't need to talk about the final game, but Calgary and Vancouver played, in case anyone missed it. It was actually a really good game. I turned it off because Calgary was up 5-1. And then I came back and turned it on, and they just won in overtime all of a sudden. It was 5-1 going into the third, and then Vancouver came back in the third and brought it to overtime. I'm like, that's insane. What a game. Didn't matter, though, because it's a meaningless game that all it's doing is hindering the ability for Toronto and Edmonton to fucking start anytime. Now we have to wait till Wednesday and Thursday for the North to start. It's just absolutely stupid. I hate it.
I think it's on Wednesdays. No, it's Thursday. It's Thursday.
Edmonton Wednesday. Edmonton, Winnipeg.
Edmonton,
so
Wednesday.
Calgary and Vancouver have the early game just so that Winnipeg and Edmonton can start that night. It's great. It's so stupid.
That's fucking so dumb.
It's the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
So I gotta wait till Thursday.
Suck. Yeah. So that's pretty much.
We have nothing to talk about that's relevant to where we live.
No.
With hockey.
That was it for hockey. Toronto Bogosian could be
clear.
back.
He's clear, I heard.
Yeah, he's going to come back at some point in this year.
So that'll be good on the cap.
Sheldon Keefe announced
Put that cap
Campbell,
up. Add his 700K or whatever it is, 900K.
Sheldon Keefe announced that Jack Campbell will be the Game 1 starter. That's not surprising. one little piece of information. Oh, no, I got a little bit to talk about in this series now.
Okay.
First of all, Brendan Gallagher and Carey Price are slated to play in Laval tonight with their AHL team to get some game experience before the series starts. That's interesting. They're probably going to play. I'm assuming Carey Price gets to start game 1 if he's ready, just because they loved him. So that's neat. It's cool. Good for them for getting them some game time. The other little bit I want to talk about Montreal, they had practice the other day. In their line rushes, Jesperi Kotkaniemi and Cole Caulfield are in the extras.
They're just like not.
They're not in the line. They're not in the lineup right now. Unless he changes it in the next 3 days or whatever it is. Because Jesperi Kotkaniemi and Cole Caulfield are going to be out of the lineup for game 1.
I mean, maybe he's just not showing all of his cards.
Maybe.
And one show, it's like poker. They're like,
you hope if you're a Montreal fan.
And then it's like, but bam, I'm going to throw it on the table. Even still, though, like
Royal Flush.
That doesn't scare you as a Leaf fan or as going
like,
into
I was worried because Jesperi Kotkaniemi had that weird different level in the playoffs, and like maybe he finds that again. And Cole Caulfield's a legitimate goal scorer.
This team's so much better than that, though. This team has not been the team that you saw for the last however many games, let's say 10 games, because it's pretty much been decided. Like 8 games then.
They're pretty bad.
No, I'm saying the Leafs. The Leafs are not going to be the same team because they're back. They're
hopefully
in
there's a
mode
different
now.
level there. You're right.
There is a different level there. Why would there not be? The Leafs have understood. These are the same guys who have lost out in the last 3 series. They know they're not going in there with just the same old attitude. They want out of the first round. And what easier softball pitch to throw than Montreal Canadiens, who are messing around with their lineup and are having to start their superstar goalie in the AHL to get him a half a game before he comes into the playoffs. Like, you're not dying by this. If you're dying by the sword, you're already dead. It's already done. The series is done. It's going to be a sweep. Yeah, you're dead.
They're dead.
You're not getting up from this. Your game has just shut down. You were wasted, and that's it. You have to start from fresh because if Carey Price is getting an AHL start before this series, you need to be scared.
Concerned. You're worried.
Half a start is scaring me. That's it. He gets half a game right now. Wicked.
To me, the Montreal's glaring need right now is offense. They cannot score. They're not good at it.
Montreal's glaring need is to not be in Montreal. That's their glaring need. They need to not.
Dude, their premier's coming out and talking about how they need to sign more Quebec people. Like, there's like 50 in the league, and only 3 of them are any good.
How about it doesn't matter if your coach can speak French? How about can he talk to the players and can he coach them to win?
Can he coach? Can he do a good job as a coach? Great. Right. Who cares whether he speaks French?
You know how many available coaches you miss out on because you have a requirement for them to speak French? You miss out on enough that would probably help you see a cup. You were probably the best franchise in the NHL, right? Like historically, they have been right.
They have the most Stanley Cups.
Absolutely. So now, what are you doing? Slapping on these rules? They got to be French. They got to be. Our captain has to be French. This
it's
team.
Not even the team. That's the problem.
No,
it's the province that is like,
right.
It's kind of embarrassing that we don't have more Quebec.
How about
Who do you
get
want?
The best players and run with them?
Quebec, Patrice Bergeron, right? Like that's when you think of
maybe
Quebec NHL players.
Sure.
You're not getting Patrice Bergeron at any point in time. So now you've just kind of took out the only good Quebec player. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I can't think of any other ones. But like, what do you want? You want a shit team? You just want to continue to not be good? Then you bring in Dom Ducharme to coach your team. And he goes out there, and there's a reporter that asked him, is just like, so this team's need is obviously offense. What are you going to do to address that? And he goes, no, our team need is experience. Well, they're like, no, the fuck it's not. Your team need is the fact you can't put pucks in the net. You take 100 shots a night, but they're all trash because they're out perimeter shots and you can't score.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, man. Like, I felt confident.
Are you funny? You're a funny guy. They would have Chris Letang, obviously, as well.
Oh, right.
Would they?
I think you're right.
Yeah. Martin Brodeur, bring him back.
Alex Carrier.
Roberto Luongo, let's just bring him back. Have a really great tandem.
Freddie Gaudreau, who scored for Pittsburgh.
There you go.
Oh, Marc-Andre Fleury is in net.
Yeah.
Right. But they don't need him because they got Carey Price, even though he's not French.
Mario Lemieux, if he wants to take
Active
over.
NHL players born. Paul Stasny was born in Quebec.
Wow.
David Perron was born in Quebec.
What?
Derek Brassard. Jonathan Huberdeau. There you go.
There you go.
That's an actual name.
You're naming.
Anthony Mantha was born in Quebec.
What list do you see here? This is incredible.
Active NHL players born in Quebec. It's on quanthockey.com. Matthew Perreault, Jonathan Marchessault, Jonathan Drouin, Alex Chason, Anthony Duclair, Pierre-Luc Dubois, David Savard, Thomas Chabot.
So they have a great team, is what you're saying.
They have an average team because the rest of the names are not. There's a reason why I'm skipping so many names. It's because
Are you sure?
Suck.
I have like 5 or 10. I only have 10. Yeah, there's only 10
Born in
up
Quebec,
here.
I got a bunch here.
Marc-Edouard Vlasic.
Yep. Great. Jason
Christopher
Demers.
Letang. Anthony Duclair, is he from
Yanni
Montreal?
Gourde. Anthony Beauvillier. The thing here, too, is like, yeah, you can talk about creating a team out of just Quebec people. You're not getting Bergeron. You're not getting Stasny. You're not getting Perron.
Anthony Duclair is a real possibility. Okay.
You're not getting Huberdeau. You're not getting who else is on this list? Odds are you're not getting Mantha. Dubois you could probably get. You're not getting Chabot. You're not getting Fleury. Like it's so Alexis Lafreniere. That's another one.
There you go.
Just stupid. All right, the team deserves.
Remember at the beginning of this when you said Bergeron was like the best and only
He's still the best.
players from
Still
Quebec?
the best one there.
Absolutely. I'm just saying, remember when he was the only one though that you could name?
They deserve to lose. If you're doing stupid shit like this, if you bench Kotkaniemi and Cole Caulfield in game 1, you deserve to lose the series.
Start them because when you have nothing else to go to after the Leafs go up 2-0 and you're going to insert, AHL player here, go right ahead.
Dude, it's just,
and if you're not going to start them game 1, then you're going to lose. So it's a lose-lose.
I don't get it.
Montreal, it's a lose-lose. Sorry to break your heart.
I don't get it. Like those are arguably the only 2 offensive players. Okay, Josh Anderson maybe. And
but Cole Caulfield has an overtime goal against the Leafs, which I get is 3-on-3, but he is at least 2 overtime goals.
The guy's a good scorer. I'm not going to say anything bad about Cole Caulfield. He's young, and that's the only thing I could say.
Where did Montreal find success before in Nick Suzuki being a young player in the playoffs? Okay, right. So let's just bench what we found
young
success
players.
in.
They found success in Jesperi Kotkaniemi in the playoffs last year. He was their second best player last year in the playoffs. And you're gonna take him out of the lineup.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true, but even still, they've never played a team like the Leafs in the playoffs. Like I think that they're going. No, I mean, like I don't think it's true that Kotkaniemi and Caulfield will be just sitting for the game 1.
I hope. I mean, as a Leaf fan, obviously, I hope they are. That'd be great. But I hope for Montreal Canadiens fans' sake that they're not, because that is a bonehead move. Straight up bonehead.
That's a Montreal move.
It is a very Montreal move. You're right. I have the stats from last year. Hold on. Give me 3 seconds. So last year, Suzuki and Drouin were tied for first with 7 points. Kotkaniemi had 4 points in 10 games. I think they all came in the first round, too.
Right.
But 4 goals in 10 games last year for Kotkaniemi. And you're going to put him on the bench. And you also had the only guy that scored, what do you call it, overtime goals for you, sitting. It's good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. The Blue Jays. We don't have a ton to talk about. Thank you to the Philadelphia Phillies for handing us a series. The defense in Philadelphia is woof. Big woof. The outfield, the infield, did not matter. They just were not good. Gene Segura made like 4 errors in that last game. It was just hideous.
Oh, gosh. They all did, man. Nobody did anything relevant.
No.
Now, can I ask you a question? Like, do you watch very many Phillies games or sort of?
I haven't watched a ton this year.
Because, like, is it just me or does Bryce look completely uninterested in being there now?
He's hurt, so there's that.
But even still, like, when he goes up to Batman, he literally, it just seems like at points where you don't normally see him swing at just garbage 2-strike pitches, and he is because he's just like, I don't even want to be up here anymore. Like, he just looks that kind of way about it.
When you hear him talk, he seems really excited about the fact that he's in Philly, and he loves the Philly fans. I don't know. He does look he looked disinterested in that series. I think that has more to do with his shoulder than anything,
Then don't go in there. Then don't go. Don't play.
They had no outfielders. They
It
had
doesn't
one guy
matter.
on the
You
bench.
already
It was
have no
Bryce
outfield.
Harper.
You already have no outfielders.
Sunday's game, they had one guy on the bench. It was Bryce Harper, and an outfielder got hurt. He's like, I can go if you need me to, and he just bunted because it's just you couldn't do it. It's tough. I feel really bad for Bryce.
You need to call up players, and you need to figure that out. That's better. You need to have better management than that.
Yeah, that's right.
Like that.
I don't know
That's
how you're
ridiculous.
sitting at a point where you have one guy on your bench.
Right. That's too much.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Robbie Ray.
Is it a Robbie Ray day today?
It was Robbie Ray on Sunday yesterday.
On Sun yesterday.
On Sun yesterday. Robbie Ray has found the control that he could never find. Unfortunately, now he's hitting a lot of barrels every now and then, and they're leaving the yard once or twice a game, which is like you can handle that if it's only a couple. But it's one of those things. It's like it's great that you can hit the strike zone. Now we need you to hit the right part of the strike zone. It's like he'll get there. I'm not too worried. He's got the stuff. He's got the velocity. It's just right now it's great that Robbie Ray is not walking anybody, but I would prefer to see less home runs leaving the yard.
It's incredible how not only do we as the fans, but the Toronto Blue Jays also know that 8 runs as a lead is not enough. And you just need to keep going. Like that is the thing, is that even as the Toronto Blue Jays, the professional team, they look at it and they say, more. I know we have an 8-0 lead.
More.
We seriously need more because, Robbie Ray is going to hit inning 4 and 5.
Sure. He gave up a couple of home runs to Nick Maton.
We're going to have to bring in somebody else. Yeah, sure.
The bullpen is in shambles right now.
Right.
Everyone's hurt. The good guys are hurt. It's not even everyone's hurt. The only guys that matter are hurt. And they took
just keep hitting.
Out of
just
that game.
Keep hitting. Just keep hitting.
You gotta outhit your injuries at this point.
Yeah.
Cool thing, actually, if you look on Fangraphs.com, the WAR leaders, which is like kind of the all-encompassing stat, if you don't know, Toronto has the best second baseman in baseball, the best first baseman in baseball, and the 6th best shortstop in baseball right now. And then if you couple that with the fact that Teoscar exists and Springer's on the team, he'll be back eventually. You're looking at a good roster of guys that are actually producing and hitting well. Cavan's been hitting great the last little bit, so that's adding up too. And I mean, like, you have statistically 3 studs just to complement everything that this team has, and they can out-hit the bullpen problems. But at some point, that team's gonna slow down, you would think. And you would hope there's a bullpen to carry you there, but 100 of them are on the DL or the IL, I guess it is now.
Yeah, you're not always going to have these 10-8 games where you're kind of able to just barely get away. You have an 8-0 lead. And in baseball, as much as we kind of say, like, oh, anything's possible, especially over as many innings, that just shouldn't happen. That's something to be scared of. So they need to – it's just – I don't even know what's – like, they just need to get healthy. Realistically,
think Charlie kind of let the game get away from him a little bit, thinking, you know what, we're up by a lot. Let's give Tim Meza a chance to figure it out. I don't think Tim Meza has it right now. He's not very good.
I think you have a bunch of guys in there who do have it and are capable of having it more than him and need to just continue to go with that.
Even with the injuries, you have guys like Joel Payamps,
AJ Cole
Jordan
was
Romano, AJ Cole,
fucking unreal.
You have guys that can get the job done. You would hope for more guys because like you have so many holes right now.
But you just hope that less injuries continue to strike down what you think you have in that organization, right? If you talk to these Blue Jays, they think that they have something when healthy that nobody else. Right.
You look at the names on the IL right now out of your bullpen, like Julian Merriweather was shown that he can dominate. Ryan Barucki's a really good reliever out of that bullpen.
They signed Kirby Yates, had him not even pitch a single inning for them, and not at one point did they hit the panic button saying we need to get a backup for him because they just looked and said, "Look, this was the cherry on top of our cake. It fell on the floor. This is our cake. We're still happy."
Rafael Dolis when he's
right.
Healthy.
And we know what we have. Like I don't think it's as scary for sure, but it just starts to get scary when you're constantly going on ILs and you're constantly throwing in, like you said, like Tim Meza for, you're up by 4, whatever, but that's still not enough at that point.
It's one of those things. It's just like strength of the guys that are out that you're worried about. Because Chatwood's another one that they have right now that's been really good. David Phelps was phenomenal before he got hurt. Romano, you don't know. Like, he looks like he might be hurt again, but he could be okay. Who knows? Julian Merriweather was a closer when he got hurt. Rafael Dolis was the 8th inning guy when he got hurt. So you're looking at like 4 premier relievers in that bullpen, and they're all done.
What the hell is in that Tampa Bay water?
Yeah,
it's not enough for these boys.
The hot air is just really starting to get to them. Another injury news: Rowdy Tellez left the game.
I saw that. Did you see it?
Heard any updates? Yeah, he slipped on home plate trying to get out of the box. Tweaked his left leg. Wasn't good.
The most awkward run
the same
down.
leg that was hurt.
You know what it reminded me of? His run down to first base was that YouTube clip of the guy playing Madden, like a really old version of Madden. Okay. You ever seen this? Anyways, he's like at his own end zone, and he throws the ball to one of his players, but his player's like holding his leg because somehow he sustained an injury, and he goes, he just keeps going. I put the team on my back. He looked like that character though, like just running down the first baseline, holding his leg because he's just in so much pain, but he's like, I gotta be safe.
That's funny.
I've got to be safe.
He's got a left hamstring strain, I believe.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah, it sucks when you go to plant and there's nothing to plant there.
It just goes out on you. Like, that's painful. No update yet on what's wrong with him and how long he'll be out, but it doesn't look like he'll be back. That's not good. You add to the long list of injuries they already have. We're not even the most injured team in the league, so it's like you can't cry about injuries because there's teams that have it way worse than us.
You also can't cry about still, taking the last 2 series. You swept the Braves,
They're
and you
a game
also
and a half out of first in the AL East.
Yeah, you also took it to the Phillies. You lost game 1. You came back and won game 2 and game 3 by convincing, convincing in the sense that it was 8-0.
Yep.
And like the game at that point is kind of out of hand, and then they make it a little interesting, and then Vlad just decides to walk up and say, "See you later. This game's done."
Yeah. The Jays are a game and a half out of first, and they haven't played the Orioles. They haven't played the Tigers. They haven't played who else is garbage in the AL. They played
Twins are bad right now.
Haven't played the Twins. Haven't played the Mariners. Who else is coming up in the schedule here? Like, they really haven't played any of the bad teams. Like, their schedule has been great.
They've been playing against the
run where they'll hit the bad teams and you might make a bit of a run.
But right now they have a huge stretch against like their interdivision rivals, and then they go and they play what is it? I just had them here.
The Marlins are in June.
Yeah, but they play Cleveland.
Marlins,
they end with Cleveland in May,
which could be better than you would expect, but
that should be win. Like, I think at that point, Cleveland should have cooled down, and you should be winning those games. That's a series that you can easily take, and then you get a day off, and then when you hit June, you're going to
June. You have 2 games against the Marlins. You have 6 against the. Sorry, you have 7 against the Orioles. You have 2 more against the Marlins there, and then 2 against the Mariners. So you're looking at a good June.
The Marlins are back to sucking, so
yeah,
they're not. Last year's Marlins. They're back to this year Marlins.
They also play one of the best teams in the league in the White Sox right now, and the Red Sox, and the Yankees, who are all really hot, and the Astros, just for fun.
And we are competing with them.
You get the bottom and the top of the league for your June month, but whatever. It's okay. I'm fine with it. So, yeah. Final little bit of news on the Blue Jays. Gabriel Moreno got added to the top 100 prospects list. So we have 8.
Doesn't it feel good? Feels like you got a lot of like jelly beans in your hand.
Mm-hmm. You're the kid in the schoolyard with all the candy. The kids are coming. You're like, "Can I have some?"
What are you gonna trade me? Yeah, but it's like, what are you gonna trade me?
You've got the upper hand here. You are. You're the coolest kid in the place.
Now you're asking people, hey, not like can I have it? It's like they're coming to you saying, okay, hey, I've got deals for you. And you're listening to all of them now. You're not desperate for them anymore. You're not saying like, look, I gotta hear them. I gotta tell me what you want. You're just like, all right, I want to hear it.
Yep.
Maybe I'll let you know. You're cool. You're cash.
I would just like to say one more time, until next week when I say one more time again, Vladimir Guerrero is the AL MVP right now. I brought stats this time. Let me find them again. As of yesterday, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. sat tied for 3rd in the AL in home runs. Actually, that might have been the league. But tied for 5th in RBIs, 2nd in on-base percentage, 4th in on-base plus slugging, 3rd in WAR, 5th in walk percentage, and just for fun, he's 5th in defensive WAR in the league among first basemen. He's the MVP. Thank you. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Latter days are for the homers.
Wow.
Next.
I think that's it. We just ended right there.
That's it. That's all that matters. Did you come up with anything for drip or drop?
Oh shit, no.
I
never
one.
do.
I know.
I never remember
We
in
set
time.
We set up our goal. We did not reach
10
that
each?
goal.
Yeah, we said that at
Wow.
the end, didn't we?
I got the same one that I do last time. But
What do you mean you have the same one you did last
I had
time?
one last when we last recorded, but
You just didn't say it?
I figured we wait until we have more.
Oh.
So we could just push it again.
We'll have to push it again. I had a really, really tough weekend. People.
Monday got on you quick.
Monday comes around real fast. I'm happy next weekend's a long weekend because it's going to be nice.
I felt like we just recorded yesterday, and all of a sudden we are again.
Yeah,
Monday.
It really felt fast. I almost felt like, because like I said, when Toronto sports aren't like in full swing, especially now. Okay, so before we go, I guess the Raptors are officially done. Not too much to say about that.
God, man.
Tampa Bay, thank you for holding them in your shitty environment. And let's bring them back home.
Done with it.
That could be Kyle Lowry's final
hated
game. I know. And that sucks because, I don't want to see Masai and Lowry walk out without being like technically here for that final season.
Getting the home send-off, yeah. Just come back for one more year, both of them. Just go.
I would love them back for one more year. And I've said this for so long that if Kyle Lowry is willing to give me 100% of Kyle Lowry, he's worth that every dime of it. Sure. I don't give a shit.
I want like 10 to 15 more years of Masai, but I'm happy with one at least.
I'll take one.
Yeah.
I'm not a greedy man. We'll take it year by year. I know.
It's not even just the Raptors. Marcus Semien came out and he's like, I really don't like this.
No.
Talking about being in like the Dunedin thing. He's like, not that I have anything against Florida and the people and like where I live, but like playing at a minor league stadium sucks, and I don't really like playing in Tampa. It's never a home crowd. I'm like, you're right. It's never a home crowd. Exactly. Every time you go out there and it's a away game, there's no advantage to playing home games this year. It sucks.
You're going to see a different atmosphere in Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to June when they're at least closer to home and they're able to get some people that still cheer for the Blue Jays. It's like, just get the hell out of that stupid state. Oh, I'm sorry if anyone lives in Florida.
It's not as stupid. I think it's tough for baseball because spring training is like a month to get to know your teammates and a month to just kind of figure out a little bit, get the bat moving, and then you come to a different stadium with a different environment. Usually to like, even though the Jays are not like haven't been that relevant, like I'm pretty sure they still sell out game one. Like game one is usually still pretty big unless they hold it at 1:07 in the afternoon or 4 in the afternoon like they sometimes like to do.
Right.
But if it was a regular Blue Jays time, like it's usually a sold out game because Toronto fans will go for the beginning and they'll be somewhat consistent, especially if you're seeing a 22-17 team as they stand right now, which is a game and a half out, and are competing with the the Red Sox and the Yankees. Then they're going to be there. Toronto fans are going to show up.
Yeah. I hate it.
Yeah.
Can't wait. I'm so excited for June. I'm so excited for September for them to potentially have a chance to come back.
I might be sneaking over if they don't come back in time.
They mentioned something yesterday or the day before that like they want to have everybody fully vaccinated by the end of, I don't know if I heard it right, but I think they said September. And if you have most people vaccinated by early September, why are we not opening?
Just bring them back and
the Blue Jays coming here in September.
Why can't everybody just fly to Buffalo, drive in, and no quarantine? They're in the bus. Yeah. That's it. That's the stipulation.
What, are we scared of getting it from Buffalo? They're doing better than us.
Everybody just puts it on the bus, and you fly the same way you fly in America. The Greyhound still goes from a certain.
Sure. I would give my right arm to go to one of those games at this point. If they come back in September, I will give you my right arm. Done.
I want it.
I
want the right arm
too for the next game I go to. My left one's
the right arm. Only the right one.
I'm left-handed, so you can have my right arm.
I don't want to see you struggle that much. I just want to see you struggle a little bit.
I will give it to them. You can have my left arm. You can have my hat.
No, I want the right.
Whatever.
Just the right.
I will pay. We're going to Jays.
You've gone too far.
Book it. We're going to Jays game in September. We'll see y'all there. Maybe. Who knows? Thank you for listening. As always, don't forget to follow us at the BnB Pod _ on Instagram and Twitter, and at the BnB Podcast on TikTok. You can find our merch. Oh, including this, I'm going to have up there soon. I have a bunch of Blue Jays stuff and a bunch of baseball stuff coming on the way. You can find all that at theasports.com. Don't forget to click like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff down below. Yeah.
Is it below? Well, no, we're side by side.
Yeah, I don't know where it is. It's somewhere along the bottom. I think I'm subscribe and you're like, or the other way around. Yeah, we really appreciate it if you do. Thank you for supporting us. We will catch you guys at the end of the week. Cheers.